My name is Yukako. Thanks so much, Natalie, for your kind introduction. So as she said, I'm an artist and predominantly my practice is painting, but I do sculpture as well. And I tend to do a lot of different things, but whatever I'm doing, color is always the center of my interest. And today, we are doing a sunset sunrise painting, but rather than do very straightforward painting that the way you see it, it's more emotional, moody, sort of a abstract painting. And I have a lot of painting behind me, so you probably get some idea. And the work I did with hospital room is sort of similar to that. Initially, I was trained as an oil painter, but with hospital rooms project, I started using acrylic painting. The top of the wall, there oil painting there and the corner, and the bottom pretty much acrylic painting. So you might be able to see some difference, oil painting and acrylic. But anyway, today's acrylic. Okay, so sunset, sunrise. Maybe I should mention that what we need first, so that in case you don't have any material, you can gather the whatever missing. So we are doing acrylic painting, so we obviously need acrylic paint. We need palette. In my case, I use a lot of water, so I've got a container, sort of a kitchen cutlery tray, but whatever the container or shallow palette you have, that's fine. And you need a couple of jar for water. That's for washing brushes. And brushes, of course, and a palette knife, maybe you don't see it. You need a bit of brushes. You don't need this many, but and the palette knife is useful, but you don't have to. It's just something that is useful things to have. And then we need a A3 paper or A4. That's your choice. If you have a masking tape, that will be useful, but that's also optional. You definitely need some kitchen paper or blue road or old towel, rug, and I trust everybody has got some sponge as well. I think that's about it in terms of material you need. And also maybe another thing is some idea of what sort of a sunset or sunrise you want to paint. So maybe start thinking about it. Just dig out your memory bank. Okay, so maybe I will show you the mood board that I created. This is just a reference. It's not, I'm not suggesting everyone to paint this as well, but I just thought it might help to show you something just to trigger your memory. But I can see that it's not doing great. I can see the reflection. But anyway, you get the idea, the color, sort of obvious sunset, or it's in my case, because I'm a very minimal abstract painter. So I tend to go for very small details or just a gradation, the pattern of a cloud. And I get excited about just minimal, most minimal expression about very gentle color gradation, that sort of thing. So that's our mood board. And then now I'm going to explain what we are going to do today. So before we start the final, your sunset sunrise painting, we're gonna do some practice of gradation. I think it's useful to do a little bit of warm-up exercise, which I did, a lot of warm-up exercise like that. So that's what you're doing. So, and then after you feel you have a bit of a confidence, then we are going to do your painting. And okay. So, I think everybody has an A3 paper. If you want to paint on canvas or any other canvas board, that's fine too. And in fact, that's what I'm using. If you have an A3 paper or A4, what I would like you to prepare is basically we are going to do this one. So maybe each practice should be about postcard size. So if you can prepare the paper, either if you're at home, you can cut, or yeah, you can cut, but if not, if you don't have a scissor, all you have to do is just fold the paper, and you can tear. So you can do that. If you can start doing that and prepare, and if you don't, I know my plan was, it's just easy to just put this on table and masking tape it like that, so that we get 4 sections. But if you don't have masking tape, that's fine. What you can do is either cut A4 paper into 4, or people who has a masking tape, you can start taping it onto table. I hope you have a table that it doesn't matter getting dirty. Otherwise, I suggest you put a piece of board or something not precious. Okay, so those who want to work on small paper, like, as I said, postcard size paper, then you can just prepare it. If you think you want to do a lot of practice, then you can prepare more than 4. But anyway, so that should be enough. So I'm going to be using a piece of board to stick my paper. It's just a practice, so you don't have to be perfectionist. I tend to be quite perfectionist, but I'm going to be quick. We don't want to spend too much time on this, but I just want to make sure that you all understand the blending technique. Okay. Some people just paint on, on table. It's just my personal preference. Partly because I use a lot of water. The paper starts curling up, and it's kind of annoying. So I tend to put masking tape around. And also after you finish, you get a clean edges, which is quite nice. Okay, so that's that preparation. I hope everybody's ready. Okay, since I was painting earlier, so I got my palette already ready, but if you start putting colors, I'm not going to suggest what color you should use, but we are painting sunset, sunrise, so it's your choice. But I tend to put a lot of color on my palette so that I can mix it. So as you can see, I got a blue, purple, yellow, orange, and red, cooler red, sort of more towards magenta, purple, and red. So if you prepare this on your palette, that's great. And if anyone don't have a palette with you, you can always use just a piece of cardboard. Sometimes I just use it's actually cardboard painted. I prefer white palette because you can see what color you are making, but you can use anything. You don't have to have a, proper palette. So anyway, I shouldn't talk too much. I should just get on with it. Just getting some.
I think we've just got a couple of people that are joining us later. If you're just joining us, welcome. We're here with Yukako Shibata today, and we're making sunrise, sunset paintings. So if you've just joined us, hello.
Hello. So I hope everybody's prepared in your paints. Just putting whatever color you want to use. I got red, magenta, yellow, orange, blue, purple. That will be very useful paint. I want to encourage to prepare all these color actually. What else? Even if you might not use green because it's not really typical sunset color, but still I do prepare because sometimes mixing color, it could be useful. So yeah, I think I'm almost ready. And I hope you are too. Acrylic paints dry very quickly, so this is just my way, but I put some spray of water. Sorry, I have one more thing. Okay. So, fast technique. There's a lot of, actually, first of all, I should say that there's a lot of different way of doing blending, and there's no right way, but a lot of things I do unconsciously. I don't think about it, but I thought about it. What is the technique of blending? And I'm going to show you some of the basic or useful technique. Because of soft color I use, I prepare a lot of, I use a lot of white paint separately. I needed some clean one. So now I hope you can see, I wet my brush first a little bit. And my first technique is start with white. I will cover the entire paper white, just entire. Very quickly. This is just the base, so you don't have to be too perfectionist. Okay, so I think it's covered now. So once you do that, oh, by the way, I tend to use a lot of water. I use acrylic paint almost like a watercolor. So the amount of water you use is up to you. So there's no right way or wrong way. Okay, and maybe this gradation, I'm going to use blue. Actually, no, I think I'm gonna use green. I changed my mind since we are probably not using green so much. So why not? So I hope you can see this. Okay, so we got white. While we are talking, it will dry very quickly. So I have to. So I use just a tiny bit of green. So bring that white. Another thing was mentioned is that when you're doing a very subtle painting like this, I always have a piece of paper. I test it before I put on a paper. Okay, I'm a bit worried that this is drying already. It's okay. Okay, so you saw it, how little green I used, just a little bit. I think it was already too much. And just adding a little bit, and then sometimes I even go over to the white. This is the end in case you don't see it. That's masking tape. Yeah, because I don't want too much complete white. So okay, that's fine. And then bit by bit adding. I think I add too much. Just bring. That's just the water. And then you can see it on the test paper. Just add. And if you put too much green, you can always adjust it here on the paper. Mixing. And then like that. I think I was a little bit too cautious. It's very subtle. Okay. So the technique itself is just that white first, and while it's still wet. The painting wet on wet is the key for gradation. It doesn't always work like that, but if possible, you keep the paint, you keep the paper or whatever you're painting wet. Okay, so this is very subtle. Can you see it through camera? I'm not sure. It's very subtle.
I think we can just about see it. What we can do, maybe when you finish with this piece of paper, Yukako, you could bring it a little bit closer to the screen.
Sure, of course. Or while we are talking, I can make it a little bit more. So now I did it from light to dark, but now I'm started a little bit of a darker side, and now I'm doing a darker to light. So you can adjust that way. If you did too little, was too subtle, then you can go back over. So the dark to light. It's easier to do light to dark, but this happened. So I didn't like this one. It was way too much. That wasn't meant to be. That was a mistake, but it doesn't matter. If you make mistake, if I make mistake, I make use of it often, and I don't call it mistake. It's fine. It makes it interesting. Accident is great. So anyway, there's a lot of accident here, but it doesn't matter. It's smooth, gradated. So that's one. And next one, what am I gonna do? Okay, I probably do a two-tone, two different color. Maybe I show you the result first. Something like that, which is very useful. So let's start with, let's make a purple to pink. I could start with a stronger color, or I could start from the middle. It doesn't matter so much, but today I'm going to do the middle. This, I just went over it. I just realized. So I'm gonna paint that, and hopefully it will dry when I come back to this bit. Okay, I'm gonna use this one then. Very gentle purple, tinted purple. Again, that was too watery.
Do you think, Yukako, this is a process that you can become more confident at the more you do it?
Yeah, definitely. I think that it's I always think making a painting, it's just like cooking. It's very similar. I think a painting, a practice, I think a talent is a very overrated word. I think practice makes it perfect. I think more you do it, you deepen your understanding of a color, the tonal difference. You can distinguish different tone, and your hand become more steady. Yeah, so it's definitely practice. And the gradation technique itself is not difficult. It's anyone. It's like a cooking or driving. Anyone can do it. Some people have it naturally, maybe, but you can get it. So okay, now as I said, I'm gonna do a bit of a pink. So gentle pink to start with, and I quite like the white here, but if you don't want it, with this pink you go over it so that it becomes soft, smooth, and then probably I want to gradate to darker. That's it. I wonder if you see it. Yeah, I can see that my paper is very wonky, so and I can see that it's catching the light. Not sure.
Maybe you could just show us quickly, Yukako, those examples that you'd done before, and just hold those up close to the screen
Sure, of
well,
course.
to kind of give us an example of the ones that you've just done. So
Yeah. Okay. So this one I did in a way that I just demonstrated green. I did a white wash first and then painted adding a blue bit by bit. So from light to dark, that's what I did. This one. And this two-tone, this is, that's what I did, but maybe the better example might be this one. So in this case, I started from the center and then I went to the darker pink and then come back to the center and I add purple and I add it, make it a little bit dark. So that's what's happening. Hopefully by the end of this session, it's drying and now you can see it a bit better. Okay, so another technique, let's cover the entire section in one color, block of color, say orange. By the way, you can pick any color you like, but I think orange is quite a good one because the kind of strong sunrise or sunset, both often typically, you know, there is a moment that is very, very hot color. So this, I think I should use a bit more, less water, a bit more paint. Okay, so I'm just covering an entire area with one color.
So the process you're using here, Yukako, you're taking the acrylic paint and you're watering it down so that it gets that really loose consistency. And
yeah.
This one, you're just using the plain, you're not adding white to it, you're just using that orange color.
I already sprayed my palette, entire palette, so my palette is already quite loose and quite soft, already diluted, but not so much. Not so much. So if you're doing at home or unit, that you can use the paint as it is without diluting. Yeah. So it's actually quite useful, but probably you shouldn't put too much. You will see soon why. Well, you might want to, but let's see that what will happen if you put too much paint. You will understand. Okay, so I've got a block of color. So now I decide I'm going to gradate. What should I do? Maybe top white and then going darker like that. But you got a darkest bit already. So it doesn't matter so much if it's still wet or not wet, but by adding white, you will pick up the color that's already there. So it's almost reverse of the white first and then adding color, but it gives a kind of lovely, smoother gradation doing this way, as long as it's still wet. If it's dry, it's a completely different story. You can see it. Can you? Not sure. So by doing this, adding white on top of wet orange, the orange is coming up.
And would you say the more water you have, the easier it is to gradiate?
Not necessarily. It's how can I say? It's no, yes and no. Maybe it might look smoother, but at the same time, problem of acrylic paint is if you use too much water, then it becomes like a ink, and it depends on what you're using material. Paper get or maybe sometime the pigment doesn't stay if it's too much water. the paper reject sometime, or too much water. If I do paint over, maybe the orange entire thing come out, and a lot of a problem can happen. So the amount of water is very difficult to describe. It's just, you get it from your experience.
Yeah, you feel it as.
Yeah, exactly. Trial and error. It's difficult to, if I'm, you know, with people who's working, and I'm able to tell that that's too much, that's too little, but it's really hard to just describe in word. The consistency, maybe double cream. That's probably the best consistency, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So everything I'm doing, that's kind of so subtle, so it might be difficult to see, but I hope that you are getting some idea. Another one, maybe I should show, I forgot to mention earlier, but I'm not sure what kind of a brush you've got. I was using a flat one, as you saw, this one, but you might have only this type of brush. That's fine. What you need to do is exactly the same. So if that's the brush you've got, you can do the same technique with that. It's just easier with a flat one, but it's fine. It just takes a little bit longer, maybe. So now I'm going to paint just with this one. It's same thing, but some people might want sort of more substantial painting look. So I will do that in case that not everybody's into my kind of a soft gradated color. But since you're here, you might, but anyway. So I'm just doing, yeah, like Natalie asked earlier, this is straight from a tube, almost. So I'm just building up with a thicker paint. And this time maybe I'm going to use, what should I use? Blue, which I haven't used yet. Okay. So straight from tube, pretty much, and building up the thick paint. Oh, that was way too much blue.
So here you're sort of stippling the paint.
Yes, that's right. Slightly like impressionist technique, if you're familiar with impressionist. Okay, I'm not doing great at all. So, because I don't do this so much. Okay, now go over it. Okay. And if that happened, maybe this is the chance to use a sponge. Just sponge is sometimes useful to soften the edges. Yeah, especially if you're sort of building up paint like that, just use sponge. Okay. And then build up paint. The problem of painting this way, you get this white. I got a lot of white on my brush, that's why. So maybe I have to use just a little bit tip. And then gradually adding a bit more blue. I know it's not gradated, but you can adjust it. Okay. And like that. It's not subtle. But the sky that we are going to do might, you might want to create a quite dynamic gradation rather than very subtle one. So that's fine too. And you might wanna soften with the brushes, sorry, sponge. Okay. I think that's probably enough warming up exercise. I don't know how long it took. It's already 1:30. Okay, let's. Okay, shall we paint? Do your sunset or sunrise painting from your memories. I think, oh, shall I show? Is that useful, Natalie?
I'm just, oh, beautiful. Fantastic. Yeah. Well, let's, it would be great to move on to the larger sort of, I guess it's using those techniques that you've just demonstrated and sort of translating that to a larger piece.
Yes, exactly. So I think that size is up to you. I think everybody was advised to prepare A3, but depends on the brush size you got, and also you know yourself, you're a quick worker or slower. So I let you decide A3 or A4, or you might want to use square or circle, whatever, I don't mind. Maybe not circle today. Okay, I want you to have a think now, what sunset, sunrise you want to paint. Hope everybody got some idea. I like working spontaneously, so I didn't plan, well, vaguely plan, but not so much. So I'm thinking myself what color I'm using. You probably want to, partly because it's exercise, you might want to choose something that you can at least use 3 color maybe, or even more. And it's the scenery, but you know, as I said, I would like you to use memory and feeling, emotion that you had when you saw that sunset, sunrise. So something that you experienced yourself, ideally recently, but if you have a vivid memory, the old memories, old scenery is fine. I think I know what I'm doing. Okay, so from now on, you don't have to copy what I'm doing. You might want to look at what I'm doing because it might be useful, but you paint your sunset, sunrise, and I paint my sunrise. So everybody ends up with a different sunset, sunrise. So, okay, let's start. Anything I have to say? Not sure. If you're using a 4, if you have, use larger brushes if you have. Otherwise, use whatever you've got and use sponge or whatever you have. And I sometimes use finger. If I put too much, sometimes I remove with my finger, and the finger is very useful. Okay. Okay, let's start. I'm not sure if I should talk through or not. Maybe I should give you a little bit of a quiet moment to think about. So I'm going to be quiet for just maybe half a minute and just get on with it. And then if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Maybe one thing I should mention, horizontal or vertical. Typically, the Western landscape painting are horizontal, but since you're doing a slightly more abstract, almost emotional landscape in a way, so it doesn't matter so much vertical or horizontal. And often Asian painting are vertical and create depths by using perspective in a vertical way. So, okay. In the beginning, you probably want to be quite bold and maybe try to cover the entire area as quick as you can, even just a wash. I know some people will start from one little corner and then build up. That's one way of doing it. But for this kind of a painting, it's quite good to just cover first, and you can always change it. As you saw it, you've got a technique how you change the color. That demonstration I did with orange, you know, the cover orange first, and then you can always change the color later. So just be brave and just cover it. It's a sky you are creating. Well, yeah, I think half a sky, I think. Depends on what scene you decide to do. I think I'm gonna use a big brush.
We've just had a question, Yukako, about do you look at images on, are you sort of referring to any images that you've seen on maybe Pinterest, or particular images from your mood board, or do a lot of these sort of compositions come from your memory?
Yeah, very good question. Okay, obviously, I'm always looking for images, but I tend to prefer painting something that I experienced, because I can really feel it and I can really put, you know, I will have my intention, what emotion I want to bring to the painting. So it's my personal memory and from my photograph. But Pinterest, yes, of course, the Pinterest is amazing resources. So of course I do look through sometime, and preparing for this session, I typed in sunset, sunrise, and I just want to familiarize myself that what sunset looks like. I haven't seen sunrise for a long time, and you know, so it is useful. I think it's definitely good thing to refer to, but I don't necessarily. No, not necessarily. I don't use somebody else's photograph for my painting.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of anything that I sort of copied. I might borrow a little bit, the section of it. I don't like, it's not that I don't enjoy copying what I see. For example, maybe from my mood board, something like that. And I like to think about, oh, I like this gradation, a cooler color to start with, and then, you know, become a hot turn. And I think about it, but if I try to copy it, which I can, but I don't enjoy it. So
would you mind putting that picture just on your desk there, Yukako, because that might be just to the left there, because it might be great if people are, you know, they haven't got anything, that's really helpful.
Yeah, sure. Should I put a couple of others as well?
Yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah, in case that typical sunset, sunrise photograph might be useful. Is that enough?
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, I think that the reason why I like this landscape, sort of minimal, I wouldn't even call it landscape actually. It's abstract painting that I do. Obviously, the great inspiration, one of the great inspiration definitely comes from sky, but my interest is anything that is subliminal colors that we experience in our life, often from everyday life actually, and you know, it could be most mundane things or architecture or neon lights that doesn't have to be natural, that sometimes you see sort of, you know, the beautiful moments, and that I kind of wanna capture it. And I think I do like photography, but photograph often doesn't do justice for those beautiful moments, and because those beautiful colors are often emotional, and also maybe I can show you one photograph that, this one, while I'm talking, can I put this here? This one is just outside my house, and it was a sky and a cloud. You can see a little yellow cloud. And when I look at the sky, this cloud really, really looks like a fire. It was like a fire in the sky. And photograph kind of does show it, but you don't, and then you know, that sort of emotion that, oh wow, fire in the sky, and you know, that amaze kind, yeah, the wonder, wonderful, beautiful moments that is you cannot show through photograph. This will sort of remind me what I saw, but if I try to copy it, it will dilute the sort of impression I had. So I prefer to go back to my own memory.
I'm just a little bit conscious of time, Yukako. So
Sure.
if some people have to leave us now, then I hope that you've sort of taken those points that Yukako sort of mentioned, those techniques in the first part of the session with those sort of 4 postcard size trials. But if you're able to stay for another sort of 10, 15 minutes, then you can sort of see this work that Yukako's working on develop. So we're going to stay here for another 10, 15 minutes. So if you do have to leave, we hope you can join us again next week with a session with Amy Parrott, and that is a air dry clay sculpture workshop. But if you can stay, we're going to be here until about 3 o'clock, I think.
When you're combining kind of 2 colors for gradations, do you have any tips for that part where the 2 colors meet? Because when I've been painting before, that's usually where I would lose confidence.
Yeah, sure. I think that when the 2 color meets, the one thing I would say is maybe if that's you find it's difficult, then instead of doing from edge to center, maybe you start from center. If you do that, maybe with some people actually do. Maybe I'm going to show you. Some people even, I just put the paint, I wonder if you can see, blue one end, the purple one end. That wasn't the best brush, but you can do this way. So it's already, I wonder if it's showing. So that's another way of doing it. But if you're doing it the way that I showed you earlier, then start from center, or maybe the center you paint a bit of white first. Maybe you do white first, and then I'm painting over the white and the blue so that this bit is soft, and then you can add some green just under the white, so like that. So the white is going to keep it, you know, separate, so it's sort of a nice and smooth and not muddy. You see what I mean? And then if it's too much white, then you can always soften it. And if it doesn't have to be horizontal, then you can even do like that. Yeah.
That looks great.
Thank you.
We've had some really lovely comments from people joining us today. So here we have, I love this reminder of being mindful in each moment and stopping to take in the sunrise and or sunset and feeling it and putting it into memory to paint later or just to enjoy.
That's nice. That's a really nice comment. Thank you.
And then we've had another one here, which is, I like the idea of an emotional landscape. I don't usually paint, so it's exciting to use color.
Great. I often hear that, you know, from people who's not painter, that when they see a beautiful sunset or something like that, they say, oh, if I were a painter, I would paint that. And even if you're not painter, but you can still paint. And yeah, I think it's a very therapeutic activity. Okay. I think my sky is a sort of a pinky purplish color, and I'm hoping that I have enough time to sort of make it a little bit more complex, but I'm aware that I think I spent quite a lot of time in doing a technique bit, so don't have so much time left. But often with acrylic painting, or any painting actually, I do a lot of layering. So after I finish first layer, let it dry a little bit, step back. It's very important to step back and have a look from a distance, and I come back and paint again. So I don't normally finish painting in just one go, only occasionally. But as I said, just cover the entire space first, which is good, because if you have a limited time, you can still sort of finish. You can improve it, but you can create almost finished looking, very minimal gradation. So, and I'm using a lot of my paint surface is quite dry now, so I'm painting using a lot of water to sort of create a transparent paint. Otherwise, you don't see the color underneath.
If anyone has any kind of last few questions, feel free to pop them in the Q&A and we'll answer those before the end of the session.
And so we've just had someone ask what type of paper you're using. Is that just regular paper?
This one actually, this is not paper. I'm using a foam board actually. I prepared, I just primed foam board, so 5 ml thickness. But you can, with this way of painting, you use a lot of water. So I would say you want to have at least 200 GSM or maybe 300. That's quite good thickness if you want to paint on paper. Otherwise, I personally prefer, maybe because I'm a little bit sculptural person, I like objects, so I tend to paint on something more substantial. Canvas board. This one is a canvas board. You've got the bit of thickness and the canvas is stretched over, which is very nice material to work on.
And are these sort of artworks that you can go back to and revisit and you can add other layers, or do you tend to do these in kind of one sitting?
I tend to go back again and again and again. I do. Only occasionally I do, you know, sometimes when work is finished, it's finished, but I tend to work quite long time. Acrylic painting, even acrylic painting, I tend to do at least 1 week. It's not necessarily consecutive days, but sometimes I want to give day off to, not day off, but, you know, I give time for me to get used to the painting. And then sometime by leaving it, I will know what's missing, or yeah, you know, I think it's good to give it time to digest things. That's just me, because I'm quite slow forming in many ways. But occasionally I do just finish in one session. Actually, yeah, as I was preparing, I painted something. Yeah, I did this painting. I did it was very quick, maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And I felt sometimes you get to the point, actually, there's nothing more I can do, or I quite like it. And then if I do more, I probably am not going to add anything. Then I stop. But that's quite rare for me. Yeah.
So with this work you're doing now, how, obviously we'll have to end in a couple of minutes, but how would you go on to develop what you're doing now?
Yeah, okay. Let's kind of finish the gradation. I think that, as I said, sometimes I want to leave it and think about it and have a look from distance. But I think that what I might do is I want to create a little bit of a complexity, because although I quite like that color that I used, but it's very harmonious and that's what I like. But at the same time, I'm interested in creating a color that you cannot name it almost. I think that by adding different hue, maybe slightly more greenish color or something, will kind of almost enhance the beautiful color of this opposite color. Or but also I might create a little bit of a structure to it. It's just complete gradation. And maybe if you see my background, my painting, I tend to add some kind of a definition, like this one that I got some sort of slightly circular shape at the end, or maybe a lot of shapes, and I like to add something to it. And by the time I'm doing it, it's not landscape anymore, but it's more personal, the abstract painting, and it comes from something. But sometimes, if just the gradations, I might feel that's enough. So some of my painting is very minimal, and some are a lot more complex. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I quite like it, but I know it's not finished. I think one thing I might want to do is, since we were talking about sunset, sunrise a lot, I probably want to create area where the light is actually coming from. So maybe I probably decide to say this area, the light is coming. So I might create block of color, maybe even, bit thicker white. And then maybe behind it, I might add a little bit of yellow or something, that as if the light is coming through from the behind. Mm-hmm. Or I might do that fire in the sky. Yeah, creates a little bit of a texture, I think.
Absolutely. I think there's so much to take away from what you've showed us today. And we've had, just to kind of round off today's session, we've had some just beautiful comments. Thank you, Yukako. I found this process almost meditative, bringing the outside world in. Thank you for sharing. And just a final comment, just gorgeous and meditative. Thank you for sharing your work and techniques. Excited to dive in and play. So sounds like there's going to be lots of beautiful sunrise and sunsets sort of being made in the next couple of days. So if you do make work, please send images through to us. We love to see them and upload them to our online gallery. So you can do that at hospitalrooms.com. Just follow Digital Art School and Gallery and you can upload there.